All right, y'all, what's up? Check me out. Check me out. Right off the top, Gumby Publishing, Astigmatism in My Soul, the podcast with Soul, Sean Xavier Gumby Jr., nor myself, Sean Xavier Gumby Sr. Do we wish to defame, slander, libel anybody related to this video and what I'm going to be discussing today, which is the United States of America versus Dion Gatlin, the case involving Big Meech and Tammy Cowins and Cuffy. Thank you very much. I want to give a shout out to everybody, man, that started following the channel. We appreciate y'all. Also, follow me on my Instagram, the podcast with Soul. Thank all of my new followers over there. Please subscribe to this channel too. All right, man. This is dope. I just came from the library, man. What I do is sometimes I read in here, but I like to get up, go to the library, and let it be super quiet, and then I know I'm there for a specific purpose, and I really could dial in on the information. Mr. Welby, this is the cross-examination from Mr. Welby, right? And Mr. Welby is the attorney for Gibbs. But he's a part of the defense team. There's 4 attorneys for part of the defense team. Prague, Welby, Herman, and who's the other one? Humphrey. But today we're going to talk about Mr. Welby. And I want to, if Mr. Welby, if you see this, man, you did a dynamite job, man. Mr. Welby cross-examines Tammy Cowins and just boxes her in. She's on the stand, stuttering, lying, the whole joint. She is exposed. And Tammy Cowins, from what I'm reading here, she's trying to, she even says at one point, Mr. Welby's asking her something, Attorney Welby, and she's explaining herself. She says, I want to be open and honest about my response. You know what I'm saying? I'm reading this like, bitch, what could be open? What could you possibly do at this point to make everybody in this courtroom think that what you say out your mouth is open and honest at this point of the game? All right, so Mr. Welby first goes into her, asking her about the creative rights to the life of Big Meech. And he asks her, how did you acquire those? She says, he gave them to me through an attorney. We went through an attorney. Welby, did you pay for them? Tammy Cowins, no. Welby, do you consider them to be a valuable asset? Cowins, I mean, it depends. I guess it would be if we make something out of it. Absolutely. Then they talk about the BMF. Then Welby asks her, do you know why Big Meech gave those rights to you? Tammy Cowins, because I would assume he trusted me to know I would do what's right if a movie did come apart. Then he says, well, what do you mean, do what's right? She says, if a movie is made and money is made, if he says, hey, my kids need this or my mom needs this, he know I would do what's right. I'm not going to take the money and run off. if the film is made. Then this is where Welby asks her. Because he can get the money. No, he can't get the money. Only you can get the money. Tammy Cowins, well, I can only get the money now because I have his rights. Welby says, correct. Tammy Cowins jumps back in. Right. But with the Son of Sam laws, technically, Meech could have got the money. And that, I asked this question before to everybody. And I want to ask, man, who is Fidel Suarez, man? Who is Fidel Suarez, man? Is he a real person? We know that he was locked up with Big Meech in 2005 in the county jail in St. Clair. But was he a St. Louis DEA agent? Let's get back to this. Who is Fidel Suarez? Where is he? Where did he go? Poof. Where is this dude? Right, but with the Son of Sam laws, technically, he could have got the money, meaning Big Meech. Remember we discussed that yesterday? That Frank Lucas couldn't get any money from the movie made on his life because it involved heinous acts. There were murders involved. Now, I don't know if he gave his rights to someone else and he eventually got the money. What I'm saying is that the contract couldn't be made out, I would assume, specifically to him because of the heinous acts involved in his life story. With Big Meech, he didn't have that problem. There were no murders involved. Big Meech did not have to sign his life rights over to Tammy Cowins. He could have chilled and waited and did his time and got out and sold this movie and sold his rights, and all the money would have came to him, which begs the question. For no payment, did you pay for them? No. For no payment from Tammy Cowins, he just hits her off with his life rights. And we know, according to her mouth, they were worth possibly over $1 million. What does he get in exchange for Tammy Cowins giving her the life rights, right? So let's keep going. So Welby, this whole, man, shout out to Welby, man. What's Welby's full name, man? What's Welby's full name, man? Stephen Welby. Shout out to Stephen Welby in St. Louis, man. Stephen Welby goes right to the date, August 5th, 2012. This is the date that Fidel Suarez is attempting to get in touch with Tammy Cowins. And he's calling, and Fidel Suarez is calling, and he can't get Tammy on the phone, right? Tammy calls Keith Cromer and tells him what's going on. Keith Cromer is not there. She calls him on the phone and tells him. Eventually, later on in this document, and I'm reading from the Frank's hearing, dated October 17, 2016, page 166 through 220. So she's lying. In her testimony, she says that Keith Cromer was there with her when Fidel Suarez called. But that's not true. She's saying that she put Fidel Suarez on the speakerphone and Keith Cromer was right there and he heard everything. That's a lie. Keith Cromer was not there, because in the affidavit, it says that he was out of town and she was calling him, bringing him up to speed. Now, let me come back. Let me digress for a minute and talk about this Keith Cromer relationship. And let's talk about the monies. I'm going to come back to that. We're going to come back to the August 5th, 2012. Because that's when this Fidel Suarez dude starts calling, trying to get up with Cuffy. Listen, under no 1,000%, 6,000%, 14,000%, they wanted Cuffy. 19,000%, St. Louis DEA was out to get Cuffy. Bottom line, they wanted Cuffy. Period. Now, that's just a point of information. So, Mr. Welby, Stephen Welby, after he goes through and establishes, why did Meech give you his life rights? For what? He could have just chilled and did his time and got out and made his own movie. Why he give them to you? And now you an informant, right? In an affidavit saying he plugged you with Suarez and Cuffy, and you asking about getting him a time cut and all of this, right? So after he establishes that, he begins to run through her payments. Stephen Welby, am I correct that you had received a number of $2,500 cash payments on a number of months prior to August the 5th, 2012? So before, check me out, stay with me. Stay with a nigga. Stay with me. August the 5th, 2012. This is when everything takes off with the phone calls with Suarez to Tammy Cowins saying, yo, put me in touch with Cuffy. But before this, she's receiving money from the DEA, cash payments, $2,500. Right? $500, $1,500. She's getting money, right? Hold on, y'all. Make sure my nose clean. It's cold. I'm in Jersey. It's cold. I just came in outside. It's warm in here, so my nose be running a little bit, but everything is cool. She's receiving these cash payments before August the 5th, 2012. Now, keep in mind, remember, and she goes, Welby attacks that part too. When you first came on to the DEA, they told you was going to be setting up Hispanics. But none of that never materializes, right? And she's doing no work. She's doing nothing of what the job description of what they told her she would do in order to make a lot of money. She's not doing, yet she's receiving payments. Right? Why? And she's receiving payments before the August 5th, 2012 joint. Now, whoever is a rat or an informant out there watching this, go in the comments section and put in there, if you become an informant, do you get paid before you do any kind of work, or do you only get paid upon performance of your work that yields results? Tell me. I wouldn't know. Am I correct that you received a number of $2,500 cash payments on a number of months prior to August the 5th of 2012? That is correct. And it is my understanding, Welby, it is my understanding that those payments were made to you because you were under the understanding you were on payroll. Tammy Cowins. No, I never thought I was on payroll. I was never guaranteed month to month. They would just call me up and say, hey, we got something for you. But it was never only to the apartment that I knew it would be month to month. Welby, when did you move into the apartment? Cowins, maybe 4 to 6 months after the bankruptcy. Welby, sometime after the bankruptcy? Cowins, yes, it was after the bankruptcy because I stayed in the house for several months thereafter. Welby, okay, so you were receiving periodic cash payments of $2,500 prior to August 5th, 2012. Tammy Cowins, well, $2,500 and it altered, meaning the change. She tries to act all like innocent and all proper and come on, man, stop. I think some were $1,500, $2,500, etc. So Welby says, let's take a look. I'm going to show you this exhibit. So he shows her the exhibit. Now check this out, y'all. This is how we know. This is how we know that this girl set up Cuffy. This is how we know. Welby, this lists a series of payments that are reportedly made to you starting in the fall of 2011, going through, well, continues on for several months, even beyond this. But the times I'm interested in are in the times prior to August the 5th, 2012. $2,500, not every month, but most months you receive $2,500. Tammy Cowins, yes, that appears to be accurate. Welby, because when she receives payment, she's got to fill out a sheet like a little form. Every time she get money, they make her fill out a little form or sign it. Welby, and the description on these are for information/services. She says, I have no idea who wrote that or what represents, unfortunately. Stephen Welby, is it true? Cowins, well, at times, but it was just Welby. Did you provide information to the DEA about drug activities in October 2011? Then this is where she starts stuttering, she's jammed up, she busted, she know what he's talking about, she know exactly where he's going. Tammy Cowins, I can't say specific for that date, but again, I really don't feel that I provided a lot other than showing up when I was called to. So when you're saying the word information, I'm getting confused. Are you meaning information or do you mean showing up to make a transaction? Stephen Welby, I'm asking just about information. That you provided them with information about drug-related activities that were taking place in the United States. She says, none to my knowledge. Stephen Welby, you didn't provide any information about drug-related activities in the United States? Now, check this out. This is Tammy Cowins. Well, no, let me take that back. I'm sorry, because there was a guy named Victor. There was a guy named Victor that I did provide quite a bit of information to. I don't know his last name, but he was, but I don't know when that was. I don't know like my dates. So what eventually happens, where I'm going with this, and see, this is telling, right? This is telling. And this is where Welby went with this, because he's proven that she's receiving money from the DEA in 2011. And remember in the affidavit on page 12, this is the first time that Big Meech tells her to get in touch with Suarez and Cuffy. Oh, this is good, man. Let's go to page 12. Hold on, y'all. Stay with me. Don't go nowhere. Don't go nowhere. Okay. Page 12 of the motion to suppress wiretaps. In September 2011, Big Meech requested Tammy Cowins' help coordinating the delivery of a load of cocaine to be controlled by Suarez, who at that point was already in contact with CS1 or Tammy Cowins. September 2011, she's already receiving money from the DEA in the fall of 2011. Did you provide, Welby asked, did you provide information to the DEA about drug activities in 2011? She says, none to my knowledge, which is a lie. Why was she, if Big Meech in the affidavit in September 2011, page 12, go read it, told her to get in touch with Suarez and Cuffy to set up a deal in 2011. Remember, the big jammy, the key date, the big jammy date is August the 5th, 2012. But she already getting money from the DEA in 2011, but ain't doing nothing with Hispanics, ain't doing nothing with nobody. But she getting money. Now, she starts talking about this Victor guy, but there's no Victor guy. Now, Welby, check this out. Let's skim down real quick on the same exhibit while we have it up. There are two places indicated where you received awards. One was $55,000 on March the 5th of 2013. One about a month later on April 16th of 2013 of $80,750. So she got paid by the DEA $135,000 and $135,750 in the matter of 40 days, 41 days. Now, the $55,000 joint, was supposedly for the one with Terry White. But yo, man, let me tell y'all, man, the more I read this case, it seemed as though the DEA was orchestrating this entire thing to make it appear that it seemed like they were orchestrating this whole thing to make it appear like that it was Tammy Cowins and Big Meech, but it really was them, and they just were using Meech and Tammy Cowins to get Cuffy, man. It's crazy, man. It's crazy. I was reading it in the library today, man. I had to read this. Cross-examination, man. I read it once, line for line. It's from page 166 to 220, I think. Because Jack Harvey initially states that, and from what I understand, Jack Harvey was his main thing was the BMF. He was bent on taking down BMF. Now, Jack Harvey says that he put Tammy in for an award for the Terry White conviction, and the Terry White conviction took place in 2011. So why would it take 2 years for her to get that $55,000 if the government has already demonstrated they're willing to give you money on a weekly basis, monthly basis? Why would it take so long? And remember, the way it's worded in this case, Tammy Cowins knocked off Terry White. She was just like doing it on the strength because she didn't want to get caught up in some investigation. But I don't know, man. I don't know. But anyway, she gets $135,000, $136,000 in a matter of a month. And then Welby asks her, other than that, all of this money is for information and services. Correct. And these payments, that's what it says, Welby. And these payments then continued, showing you page 2, up until, April of 2014. And then there's some relocation and security fees that were paid after that in 2014. Now, this is where Welby, this is where Big Meech pretty much gets exposed without us seeing a legitimate 5K1, without us seeing him in person get up on the stand and point across the courtroom and say, yeah, that's Cuffy right there. We never see that. But these are the things that just, it's not good for Meech. Welby, okay, and you said that they would ask you to do things or show up, pick up money, pick up drugs, deliver drugs. Tammy Cowins, that is correct. Welby, and it never actually happened. Tammy Cowins, it never would happen. Welby, so you never did any of those things. Tammy Cowins, never did any of those things. So why is she getting all this money, y'all? Why is she getting... I'm going to let y'all figure that out. Because y'all going to go in the comment section anyway and tell me that I'm full of shit and I don't know what I'm talking about. But anyway, she's receiving all these monies and is actually performing no services of what her initial job description was supposed to be. Right? Now, this is another key part. Keith Cromer is authorizing these payments to her, right? This is on page 175. Keith Cromer is authorizing these payments to her, right? And what they're doing, CS2, which is another informant, is bringing in, the CS2 is a real informant. According to this, she's a female. She out there, she working. She's bringing in information, actionable information, right? But they're taking her information and contributing it to Tammy Cowins on paper, justifying her payments. It's right here. This is on page 176. Then, this is another interesting point. Welby goes into her relationship with Keith Cromer, and one night they all went to dinner. Keith Cromer, the other, DEA agent named Tony or Anthony, whatever his name is, and CS2 and CS1. Tammy Cowins being CS1. So when Tammy Cowins and Keith Cromer show up as a date, the other DA agent shows up as with the other informant, CS2. And Tammy Cowins testifies that she sees them playing leg games, little petting, stuff like that, playing with each other. And it's indicative of a relationship, right? And come to find out, Keith Cromer, according to Tammy Cowins, may have been knocking down CS2 too. He might have been hitting CS2 and hitting Tammy Cowins, because Tammy Cowins mentions in here that, because Welby asks her, well, how do you know that? Do you think that Keith Cromer had a relationship with CS2 as well? Tammy Cowins says, yeah. Welby says, how? Why do you think that? He says, because I was talking to CS2 one time, and CS2 asked me, Tammy Cowins, does he call you and wake you up every morning? And Tammy Cowins says, that's what he do to me. He called me and wake me up every morning. So what he was doing with her, with Tammy Cowins, he had also done or was doing with CS2. So he probably was knocking them both down. This dude was lost his moral compass, was way off his square. Was way off his square. So let's go to August 5th, 2012. Who is Fidel Suarez, man? Who is Fidel Suarez, man? Is Fidel Suarez a DEA agent? Is Fidel Suarez an informant? Was Fidel Suarez a St. Louis DEA plant that they planted in the cell with Meech in the county jail in St. Clair to make the connection in 2005? But then I say, well, Sean, would they have this planned out and strategized from 2005 of how they're gonna orchestrate this whole thing and with Big Meech, or do they feel like he's gonna get taken down anyway? So August 5th, 2012, it also mentions in here, what's crazy is Fidel Suarez makes some phone calls to Tammy Cowins using a VoIP line, VoIP, voice over internet protocol, meaning some kind of way the call is being routed through a computer or whatever. I guess that's to hide the number or whatever. He's calling her from a VoIP number and a cell number, like at the same time. He would call one time, yo, he won't get an answer. Then he'll call with the VoIP number, won't get an answer. He's going back and forth. So it's like, this nigga really come from California and got a computer making phone calls with a laptop or whatever, or did he go somewhere? I don't know. Making phone calls through the computer, and a cell phone in order to distance himself and make it harder to catch him? Or is it the St. Louis DEA who is really Fidel Suarez? And it also mentions in here that Welby does a great job. Shout out to Welby. He says, Welby asked Tammy Cowins on the stand, how many times did you speak to the St. Louis DEA agents before August 5th, 2012? Because the way I read the initial affidavit, and I could have interpreted wrong, y'all read it for yourself and tell me if I'm wrong. If you read that initial affidavit, it seems as though the St. Louis DEA agents don't get involved until around August the 5th, 2012, when all these calls start coming in with Fidel Suarez trying to get in touch with Cuffy. But Welby on the stand, Tammy Cowins on the stand, says, how many times did you speak to the St. Louis DEA before August 5th, 2012? And then he tells her it was about 3 times, right? And one of those times was in 2011. The St. Louis DEA agents called Tammy Cowins in 2011. This is in here. And asked her, where's Cuff? Or have you spoke to Cuff? So that's why I'm saying that the St. Louis DEA if they're calling Tammy Cowins in 2011, months before the actual Suarez and calls jump off, she was already in touch with them because they called and asked her about it as if it was like, yo, did you hear from him? Like they had already been talking. Like, yo, did you hear from him? Which goes back to Meech in the affidavit saying in September 2011 he orchestrated putting the cocaine transaction together with Suarez and Cuffy. So she's trying to get out of that and wiggle out of that, but she can't. And she's trying to say, I don't remember the dates, if it was 2011, 2000, you know what I'm saying? She playing. But Welby was on her top. He was on her dome. You ain't going nowhere. So, and that's why I say the St. Louis DEA, they wanted Cuffy, man. They were going to get Cuffy no matter what. I don't know what he had did, but they wanted him. And it seems as though they were more involved in the deal, more involved in the case way before August the 5th, 2012, that Tammy Cowins had been speaking with them in 2011. Now, here's another interesting part that I'm going to close. At the end, this got real good. So, Tammy Cowins is receiving these cash payments from the DEA. And guess what, y'all? Guess who she's sending money to? She's sending money. She's putting money on Terry White's books in prison. Welby, hold on, y'all. This is a good part. Welby, and since that time, you have received almost $250,000 in cash payments, awards, and benefits and compensation from the United States government. It's about $212,000 that she got, maybe up to $250,000 for. They're paying for her security while she's on trial. While she's a witness on trial, she's got a security detail. They made her get a new car, new apartment, relocate. They paying everything. You received close to $250,000 in cash payments from the United States government. Tammy Cowins, yes. Welby, do you use some of that money to pay people in prison? Tammy Cowins, do I use some of that money? No. Welby, you've never given any money to anybody in prison. Tammy Cowins, absolutely I have, all the time. Welby, why? Tammy Cowins, commissary. Stephen Welby, do you give money to Terry White? Tammy Cowins, I sent Terry White $500 one time. He wanted to do an art craft class. So here she done knocked my man off, set him up, I don't want to say destroyed his life, because just because you fall and go to prison don't mean your life is destroyed, provided you make a comeback. But, you know, sets him up, puts him in prison, and then sends him money. Now, once Welby starts going here, the United States attorney starts objecting because he don't want to expose this part of Tammy Cowins sending some of this money to Big Meech in prison. Mr. Welby says, in 2012, she's $150,000 in debt, and in 2015, she's sending money 6 times a day to people in prison. It seems to me a motive for her to try and please the government, and the reason why she needs all this money. I disagree with that totally. This is what Tammy Cowins says. But the judge says, I'll let you ask her questions. You can ask her. Then Welby says, did you give Terry White $410 in November of last year? Yes, I did. Welby, Terry White is the same guy you helped set up, take down, and got an award. Tammy Cowins, absolutely. He's asked me to marry him 6 months ago. And I've been to see him one time. Welby, you've been to visit him also, right? Tammy Cowins, I sure have. Welby, on June 7th of last year? Tammy Cowins, last year. Stephen Welby, and you gave him another $300 at that time? Tammy Cowins, I did. Now, this is the part. During August of 2012, were you in regular conversations with individuals in the Department of Corrections? Tammy Cowins, family members, yes. Family members and friends, yes. Stephen Welby, and friend of CS1. They don't put the name. They just put it italicized. This is page 219 of 271. They just put it italicized. And friend of CS1. She says, friend of CS1. Welby, is that a family? Is that a friend or family member? Tammy Cowins, a very close friend. Welby, and you went to see him? His mother is my godmother. Stephen Welby, you went to see him 5 times in August of 2012. Tammy Cowins, I may have. If that's what it says, absolutely. I'm pretty sure that's my right, though, but okay. So this CS1, this friend, is Big Meech. She went to see him 5 times in August of 2012. And August 5th, 2012 is the day all of the calls start coming in about Suarez and Cuffy. Mr. Welby, in 2012, in 2015, she's sending money 6 times a day to people in prison. In 2015, she's sending money 6 times a day to people in prison. She only says that she sends Terry White money, 3 times? Who's the other person? I need to talk to Cuffy. Because Cuffy, I need to hear from Cuffy if he ever met Fidel Suarez in person, and did he know Fidel Suarez prior to 2011? I need to know that. All right, y'all. I'm exhausted. This thing is deep. I got shout out to my man John. He sent me Meech's sentencing hearing. I'm gonna do a separate video on that. Sean G. Follow me on my Instagram. See y'all tomorrow. Tomorrow I got one more cross-examination to do, and that is with Herman. See y'all tomorrow. Peace.